Hey guys, Brian Beeler here with Rick Vanover from Veeam. We've got this interview segment we're inserting into the podcast, but we also have a video component for you to consume as well if you prefer that. Rick, you're going to update us on V10. I know it's been a long time coming. We're here. We just installed it. Dead simple. What's going on?
So it's the biggest release in Veeam's history. That's what's going on. Okay. So yeah, we'll give you a quick update. If you haven't heard of Veeam, we're a global company. We have over 4,400 employees or so worldwide, and we've crossed over the $1 billion of revenue mark. We don't have the 2019 numbers finalized just yet, but the one number is we carry a plus 75 net promoter score. So really,
I know you guys love that NPS.
Yes, we do, especially when it's great. And it's a great number. So,
And what just quickly for those that don't know, that's like the likelihood that someone would recommend you to a colleague or something along those lines, yeah?
Right. So, you actually can have a negative number.
Really?
So the maximum is plus 100, and there's also a minus 100. So if you had...
do you know who's got a minus
I don't know, but imagine like...
We should do a whole podcast on who has negative NPS scores.
There are some like really bad cable companies that have negative.
That makes sense.
Yeah, those types of things. But we're happy with our numbers, so it's good.
We've talked about this before, though, but $1 billion from a company that started out taking credit cards to back up single VMs, that's not insignificant in terms of just the scale, the growth, the rapidity of getting there. It's amazing.
It is incredible, but we've really started and gone through with this mantra through the years of having products that are simple, flexible, and reliable. And yeah, from those first partners that were selling low-ticket deals to now, we cleared a very large multi-million-dollar backup deal. We've had these types of things happen in multiple geographies now. It's big. It's real.
Yeah.
This is my 10th year at Veeam. So what I've seen in these 10 years is absolutely amazing. Never seen anything like it. And when we think about what are we doing in the market to make changes and to bring innovation, we have to kind of look at the data sources and the ecosystem that we work in. And this is an area that like Storage Review and Veeam actually have a lot in common. We've integrated with a lot of storage platforms and integrated with a lot of running workload platforms like VMware and Hyper-V and Windows Server, Linux. Done a lot in the cloud as well.
Sure.
And we've expanded this platform up and down. So I think it's really important to have both north and south integration. And I see a lot of future around the object storage integration. I see a lot of additional storage partners that we can integrate with. And the thought here is that at the fundamental heart of this is our products providing backup and recovery and replication and failover through these ecosystems. And, we're going to continue to grow this. There'll be a time where it won't fit on the slide.
Well, the partner logos you have there already are really remarkable. And it's hard to even conceive of who else has that many connections. Maybe a networking provider or someone else that touches all those components. You might have that kind of list, but that's...
it's an impressive list, and we go about every single one of them differently and uniquely for what we're trying to do. And V10 hits on a lot of those, but it really takes a lot of the integrations like faster and makes them stronger and makes them smarter, especially around the cloud. And I'll kind of share with the team here and the listeners 3 main things that V10 brings to market. One is seriously powerful NAS backup, significantly improved instant restore capabilities, and a technique to be resilient against ransomware with the cloud.
All right, so the NAS is the big one, right? Everyone's been waiting for the NAS backup solution. It's here. You've talked about it for the better part of a decade. Okay, maybe not. Okay, fine.
Let's go with 2.5 years.
All right, 2.5 years, close enough. In IT terms. Okay, but it's here. You're excited about it. Talk a little bit, and I know you've got another slide, and we'll talk about it some, but the technology required to address the NAS concern, it's a little different, obviously. You've got this file tracking thing I know you guys are enthusiastic about. What does that look like?
Well, it's a different type of data. It's not an image-based backup. It's not a restore point that we're used to with Windows and virtual machines and Linux and things like that. So we start with different data sources, NFS, SMB, Windows file servers, or Linux file servers. And then this is where the magic starts to happen. This engine will continually look down through the tree and find the files and folders that have changed. So when we think about most file servers, they don't usually have a high amount of change rate, but most products also have a lot of work to do incremental backups on these types of data sources. This change file tracking engine will really let us go through that efficiently so that the incremental backups were going to be very quick. And then at the end of the day, if we have some snapshot integration that we can use, kind of a universal snapshot approach, we can do that. So if the snapshot is presentable anyway, we can move the data that way. And the beautiful thing is a lot of restore capabilities. Just bring me back the file. Maybe the whole file share got hit with ransomware. Or let me completely evacuate the device and go to another one with a restore. These types of portability options are really important today.
So I think about our lab. We're running a NetApp A200 all-flash array. It's half block, half file the way it's configured. So Kevin's using that as a primary backbone. But we also have a little Synology NAS set up for all of our podcast copies, videos, presentations, like all that typical unstructured business kind of stuff. Just as you're talking through it, I think about of all the pain points that happen from ransomware for one, but lost files, damaged files, whatever. A lot of that's individual person's data that was a lot of tickets and a lot of support calls into IT. I imagine this goes a long way to helping with some of that.
Oh, there's all kinds of use cases for this. I mean, think about just, do you want to hold on to your YouTube creations? Do you want to hold on to your media? Do you want to hold on to all kinds of data that it doesn't usually sit in other places? And, the beautiful thing is if you wanted to, we could store this in the cloud. We could store this on another storage resource on premises. We have all kinds of flexibility here. And I've even found use cases for this around things you wouldn't have even thought of, like VDI data. I mean, it's just kind of gets a little bit into crazy talk, but it's amazing what you can do with this engine.
Well, the amount of opportunities it opens up, and then as your customers start using it, and I'm sure you'll come up with all sorts of things.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this in the hands of the full customer base. We're at a point where early customers have it, but then later this month it'll be much more broadly available. And the other thing that the organizations are very much anticipating from us is that little competitive edge to be resilient against ransomware. And what we're doing with our cloud tier technology is really advanced. And I'm going to pretend that I'm the analyst here for a second instead of Brian. And I'll say that this is like software-defined storage at the management level that we're providing. That's completely hardware agnostic, software-defined, and cloud-ready. Okay, that's a lot of buzzwords in a couple of sentences.
It is, but then you've got a big blue one in the middle, immutability or teal or whatever that is. You're going to have to explain that, what that concept.
Yeah, actually, I had an English major ask me, what exactly do you mean by that?
But was it an English major?
I don't even know if that's an English word, but that's what we're going with.
Okay, so what does it mean?
So the thought here is I want to put backups in a place without the ability to remove them.
Okay.
So think about the use case of a malicious admin, or even an accidental deletion of data, or something like ransomware. Mm-hmm. So the thought here is we can leverage a cloud technology governance mode with object lock and compliance from Amazon. The way we've implemented it, we can put backups into S3 without the ability to delete them. But the beautiful thing is it's also available in some of the S3 compatible storage resources. Because a lot of times when you say object storage, it doesn't always have to be the public cloud.
Sure. There's a number of ways to consume that.
Exactly. And the thought here is we want to give organizations some options. So definitely with the public S3, but also with some of the on-premises S3, like Wasabi, for example, we can write backups to those storage resources and flag them as immutable, undeletable, if there is such a word. Yeah, and it can be a nice extra copy. Maybe only keep 7 days there. Because usually when you do restores, you kind of go from the most recent restore point. But it's a great level of flexibility for this backup storage.
And I know you're talking S3, but I know you guys are excited about Azure Blob as well. We've talked about that before. What's the latest there? What are you seeing in terms of for this type of use case?
We first started supporting Azure Blob storage for backups as a target early in 2019, and we've seen multiple petabytes go into Azure. And it's going very well. We don't have the similar type of lock and immutability there just yet, but we are working with Microsoft to kind of find a way based on the techniques they have. I mean, there is a container level immutability, which is a little bit more wholesale than we might need for the way we want to write data to the cloud, especially when you think about the economic models of it. And then the other angle is Azure Soft Delete, which is a whole different way of doing it, which is kind of like, think of a trail of a deleted object. But we're not quite there yet with an immutability solution for Azure. I'm personally an Azure fan, so I'm always wanting to see what's our next Azure innovation. But there's definitely a lot of uptick, yes.
Well, we're a little Azure heavy, I think, in our thinking. Just if we look hyper local, just to Cincinnati, because Kroger, Procter, those guys don't necessarily want to support the AWS ecosystem because they're ripping off their products. If you're Procter. And they're competing against you if you're a retailer in many ways. So it's not even many ways. With Kroger, it's a direct attack with Whole Foods and the Amazon Prime delivery service. So these types of guys are always looking for additional services in Azure or GCP or whatever it is that's available.
You're going to see a lot of that because if you're in transportation, if you're in retail, distribution, groceries, a lot of industries, there could be services even, there's a lot of commoditized items that I see a lot of organizations go for business reasons to Azure, GCP, etc. So that's not unique, and I've seen a lot of that. But I think we actually need multiple top-level clouds for sure.
No doubt. All right, we're bumping up against the end of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you.
Super timing. Thanks, Rick, for being here today. We'll loop this into the podcast and have it online on YouTube. Thanks very much.